Hello and welcome to Northern Nightmares. I'm your host Andrew, and this week I hope you're excited as we're returning to the world of cursed objects. This is Objects of Evil Part 2, and oh do I have some creepy things for you this week. Let's just take a step back though a moment and let me refresh your memory of what Part 1 was like. I talked about such cursed objects like the famous Hope Diamond. After years of tormenting its owners, it resides at the Smithsonian Museum. James Dean's little bastard car, known for crashing unexpectedly and killing Dean. After years of being on display, the car continued to kill and maim others. The only part currently on display is an axle, which is at Zach Bagans' museum. The rest of the car has since disappeared, and its whereabouts is unknown. If you want to hear more of that episode, I'll put a link to it down below in the show notes. Now, you don't have to listen to Part 1 to enjoy this one. I'm just continuing our journey of exploring alleged cursed and occult items known to wreak havoc on us. So without further ado, let's start our show. Let's begin with our first object. Located in Edinburgh, Scotland, this is the famous Lady of Lamba, or aka the Goddess of Death statue. The Lady of Lamba is a limestone statue. It was first discovered in the year 1878 from Cyprus. Cyprus is an island country in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. It's just off the coast of Levant, a mainland region in West Asia. This statue is thought to represent fertility, and it's theorized to be from 3500 BC. That would make the statue about 5,525 years old today. If you were to look up a photo of it, it's supposed to be in the shape of a pregnant woman. I mean, it does kind of look like that. On top of the 14-inch statue, there is a piece that looks like a neck. It also has two like arms on each side of its body, and the bottom half is supposed to be the pregnancy representation. My description is probably not the best, but I would look it up if you're curious. Ever since its discovery, it's had been the result of many deaths to whoever have come in possession of it. The story of its history is murky, to say the least, but what I could find is that many families had owned it. These people were royal families in Scotland's history. Anyone that owned the statue tragically died after a few years of ownership. However, at some point someone wised up and donated it to a local museum in Scotland, but somehow it's now located in the Cyprus Museum. But the weird thing is that the statue isn't in the museum's inventory. Allegedly, it's so evil that the museum doesn't want to be known to even owning it, but at the same time it's locked up as it's too evil to set loose. So whatever's going on with this mysterious statue, I think we should just stay far away from it. As, well, at least for myself, I don't want to die because of a stone statue. Our next creepy object is the famous Busby Stoop chair, which you can find in Thirsk, New Yorkshire, England. This legendary cursed chair is said to bring on death to whoever sits in it. As the legend goes, in 1702, a man named Thomas Busby was notorious for being a mean drunk. He was arrested on account that he murdered his father-in-law, Daniel Oddie. The two allegedly were running a counterfeit coin operation and other criminal enterprises. Supposedly, the two got into a heated argument with Busby, killing Oddie. The punishment for his crime was that he was sentenced to hang. Before heading to the gallows, though, he was granted a final drink at his favorite pub, which is now the Busby's Stoop Inn. After angrily leaving his favorite spot in the bar, he cursed his preferred chair, vowing sudden death would befall anyone that dare sit in it. He was led outside across the street in front of the bar, where he was hung to death until his feet stopped kicking. The location of the execution was a crossroads for the A61 and the A167 trunk road. However, nowadays it's just a roundabout, but the inn is still in its same spot. Over the next few centuries, many have allegedly died from sitting in old Busby's chair. One notable case was a Canadian World War II airman. He visited the pub while off duty. He was stationed at the Skipperton A Swale base. As the story goes, after leaving the pub, he never returned to his bombing mission over Europe. He had died shortly leaving due to being in the chair. In the 70s, there were a few car crashes that happened. The drivers were allegedly linked to sitting in the chair, which theory suggests caused their deaths. In 1978, the pub had enough of the deaths, so they donated the chair to the local museum in Thirsk. To prevent any more tragedies, the curator hung the chair from the ceiling. As of today, the chair is still located at the Thirsk Museum in Yorkshire, England. Our next piece, I would say, is one of the most famous pieces on this list. In 2003, a man named Kevin Mannis bought a cabinet from a yard sale. He ran a refinishing business, and seeing the cabinet, Mannis figured this could make some decent coin, after he restored it, of course. The yard sale was run by a local attorney in Portland, Oregon, allegedly, of course. Some of you may have heard of it. This is the Dybbuk Box. According to Mannis, he wrote and created the whole idea behind it. But let's just ignore that idea for a moment. The box is an antique wine cabinet, and it's claimed to be haunted by a Dybbuk, a malicious spirit from Jewish mythology. The spirit is believed to be skilled with the act of possession. It's also claimed to be the dislocated soul of some dead person, the identity being unknown, of course. It's said it only leaves its host after it's achieved its wicked goals. Exorcism is the only other way to rid the entity. The box attracted attention when Mannis was selling it on eBay, and its story intrigued and terrified others. The box has a unique carving on the back. It's called a Shema prayer. Supposedly, it's a Jewish word for protection. Mannis also claimed the box originally was owned by a Holocaust survivor, and because of the evil spirit, it caused bad luck and nightmares. However, these stories were claimed all fiction, written originally by Mannis as a way to boost its popularity. And due to its popularity, it actually spawned a horror movie, The Possession, in 2012. It has spawned other B-rated movies, but The Possession is the top famous one. However, after it was sold, some owners played into the fun, but to some it may have actually brought some misfortune. One owner named Jason Haxton claimed to have experienced various things like shadowy apparitions appearing throughout his home and even feeling deteriorations of his health while holding the box. Even rapper Post Malone claimed to have experienced some bad luck. The box belongs to Zach Bagans now and resides within his museum. Post Malone visited the museum to film an episode of Ghost Adventures in 2018, and Zach, he touched the box with one hand and then touched Post with the other. 2 months later, after filming, his private jet had to make an emergency landing, later finding out that the wheels were damaged mid-flight. A month later, Post was involved with a high-speed car crash and even being the target of a home invasion by armed intruders. Whether it being the box's doing or simply a coincidence, that's up for you to decide. For me, I believe that the internet created a tulpa within the box. If you remember, I mentioned tulpas for the first time in our Men in Black episode. Tulpas are thought form energy ghosts created by mass conscious energy from us. Could a tulpa be inside the box? The box that was originally just an old wine cabinet? Or does a Dybbuk actually reside inside? Well, you can find it in Las Vegas at Zach Bagans Haunted Museum. For $54 of US dollars, you can get a general admission to all kinds of haunted items, or about $75 in Canadian dollars. Now it's time to bring out one of tonight's other main items. For object number 4, I don't know if I would consider it only an item, but a place as well. This thing has been around for thousands of years, approximately from 1332 BC. It was considered a grand discovery in 1922, but to others it was thought to be a curse that fell on the unfortunate archaeologists that were involved with its finding. This is the tomb of Tutankhamun, or King Tut for short. King Tut was a pharaoh in ancient Egypt. His tomb is located in the Valley of the Kings. Now, that's not inside one of the Great Pyramids, but located deep underground within the valley. King Tut was a ruler during the 18th dynasty during the ancient times. If one were to enter the tomb, you would find a staircase leading down into the main area. The tomb consists of 4 chambers. Each room has wall decorations of hieroglyphs and many of its treasures. Hieroglyphs is the ancient language of the Egyptians in the form of pictures instead of words. Some of the common ones are the Eye of Horus, a scarab beetle, the lotus flower, and even depictions of gods like Anubis and Osiris. Over the thousands of years, the tomb was known to be broken into many times, and many goods have been stolen. However, the burial goods always remained. If you're unfamiliar with that, they are urns that contain the vital organs that are removed during the burial process. This is called mummification. Everything was removed except for the heart, as it was considered the seat of the soul. Now the brain, though, was removed by shoving a long hook into the body's nose, and the brain was pulled out. Now, it's not, possible to pull the brain fully out of the nose, but I'd imagine they would just scrape at it till they get it all out. Now, in 1922, it was officially discovered by archaeologist Howard Carter. After opening it up, the famous tomb, Carter and his team, plus the financial backer to the exploration lord Carnarvon, suffered unexpected deaths. Carnarvon died of blood poisoning after accidentally opening up a mosquito bite while shaving. This happened a couple months after entering the tomb. Howard Carter gifted a treasure from the tomb to one of his dear friends, Sir Bruce Ingram. He had ill luck, but thankfully no death for him, as he never ventured into the tomb. His house had burned down, though, by unknown causes, and when trying to rebuild it, it was hit by a flood. George J. Gould was on the team as well. He died shortly after his visit from pneumonia. 2 years after the visit, Hugh Evelyn White committed suicide. In his note, he claimed that he succumbed to the curse to which was forcing him to disappear. Richard Bethel was the second person in the tomb after Carter. Several years later, he was found smothered to death in his home. Now, it's not for sure that it was the curse's fault, but before his death, his home did go up into flames a few times, with treasures from the tomb stored inside. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed never visited the tomb, but he did perform an x-ray on Tut before sending his body to a museum. He got sick the next day and died days later. Anyone that financially supported the expedition or was involved with excavating the site all suffered some form of tragic death. Now, is it the curse from King Tut himself, or simply a big coincidence? And that is for you to decide. Oh boy, I need to be careful with item number 5. I don't really have much of a luck with items like this. While recording for our Haunted Dolls episode, I myself had technical issues and experienced a lot of weird things for a while afterwards. So I'm going to do this one respectfully. So let's bring out another celebrity of tonight's event, Letta the doll. Letta can be found in the Down Under country of Australia. The story goes that a man named Carrion Walton found the doll in 1972 when him and his brother were exploring an abandoned building in Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. The doll was allegedly hidden under some loose floorboards. It was first thought that the brothers may have found a body, but after pulling up the floorboards, they were relieved to find out it was just a doll. Carrie, for some reason, was intrigued by it and took it back home with him. Now, the name has two possible reasons. The first is that Letta is a traditional gypsy name. The second is that, allegedly, the doll would scream, "Let me out," quite often, and also tried to escape the bag the brothers had put it in when heading home. Letta still resides with Carrie today and his family. It's become quite the local celebrity, and Carrie even takes Letta around the country to show it off. At some point after its discovery, Carrie got it checked out by some psychics. They claim that Letta was made over 200 years ago by an alleged Romanian gypsy. The doll was made to honor their son that tragically drowned, and the soul inhabited the doll. The doll also was made with real human hair, very similar to Okiku, the Japanese doll I talked about way back when I did the Haunted Dolls episode, except Letta's hair doesn't grow. Carrie claims that Letta often moves around on its own, leaving scuff marks around his home. However, there doesn't seem to be anything scary about it, as he claims it has a well-behaved personality. It can also make dogs bark erratically, make things and other objects move, and can weirdly affect the weather. If we know anything about haunted dolls, is that something like that could be a ruse, or maybe it is just generally comfortable with Carrie's family. The doll, if you were to look up a photo, you would find it wearing a dark green suit. It has high white socks and dress shoes. Letta has a distinguished eyebrows, big black eyes, a large nose, and a very interesting smile. It's also made from carved wood, and its human hair is in a braided ponytail. I don't know if Letta is one of those rare good-natured dolls or it's just an act with darker motives, but I say this respectfully, it is one unsettling looking doll. Before we end tonight's show, I have one more item I want to present to you. This item is not like the others, as there are many different variations of it. Some, throughout history, could have been cursed. However, the concept of them are considered occult and used for evil intent. This is the famous Ouija board. Now, the Ouija board has been one of the main occult items for many years, often called a spirit board or witch board as well. This is a flat board that's decorated with letters and numbers. It also includes the words yes and no, with symbols like the sun and moon as well. Players use a device called a planchette to talk with the dead, and spirits are the ones that move the planchette around after you ask it questions. When the planchette moves, it spells out words by moving over each letter. If you ask it a simple yes or no question, the arrow would move to either word. During the spiritualistic movement in the US during the Civil War times, mediums used talking boards to communicate with fallen soldiers, delivering any final messages to their families. The board was also used as a parlor game, used as a clever trick to make customers think they were actually talking with a spirit. Just a clever scam some mediums would perform to sucker money out of people. Scientific studies have found that nothing paranormal actually happens, but the planchette actually moves involuntarily by the players. So science claims we move it on our own without even realizing it. However, over the many years, people swear that paranormal activity does happen, from such things as predictive messages before certain events happen, things moving while playing, candles going out, people being touched, and other weird things. Whatever goes on with the board, it really depends on the user. If you're open to the idea of ghosts, then you may very well have an experience. To some think that it's just a silly game, they usually don't have anything happen to them. Regardless of it, if it's all being true or not, many are against owning one, just for fear of itself. For example, I love all creepy things, and I used to own a board. But when I moved into my partner's home, I was made to get rid of it. She and others in my family believe in the horrors that can come with it. So regardless of if it's true, really depends on what you believe. And that concludes our night's event on objects of evil. For now. I do believe a third part, or a fourth part, even a fifth part, etc., will happen sometime in the future when I find more stories to tell. I think this will be an ongoing series for years to come. I think you could see several parts to the series. I do have ideas for a part 3, but it will come together much later this year. I want to announce as well that I'm going to be taking the next 2 weeks off, mostly to take a break, but also to work on the next several episodes that are coming. I have some really big, heavy, disgusting, and terrifying episodes on the way. For episode 30, I want to take some time to really perfect this story, as it takes place really close to home for me and the people of Nova Scotia. If you're a fan living in the province or living in the Maritimes, you will know in April 2020, we dealt with something more than just COVID-19. For my dearest friends that listen to the show, and you know who you are, you will probably already know what I'm talking about. This story was not just terrifying or heartbreaking for the people of this province, but also made us question the inner workings of the RCMP. This story is filled with cover-ups and left quite the dark mark on the RCMP's reputation. But that's all I'm going to say for now. Remember, this is your home for nightmarish stories throughout Canada and beyond. If you have any stories you want me to tell, feel free to email me at northernnightmares@outlook.com. Hit that subscribe button to get notified when new episodes drop. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Sweet dreams, and remember, nightmares are closer than you think.